Okay, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, boy. Alright, so today we're going to put the door skin on the door, but before we do that, we want to show you a couple of preparations that we've made in order to make that go a lot smoother. So the first thing I want to do is bring you in and show you the bottom corner of this door skin where we added on a little extension piece because the flange on the skin itself really isn't wide enough to fold over and lap the lip on the door shell. So we'll get the camera and we'll bring it in tight and show you that little piece that we welded on down here to make it wider. Okay, so here's the lower edge of the door skin, and it's a little hard to see, but we had to weld on a little piece of sheet metal to widen up this flange because it wasn't going to be wide enough when we folded it over to actually land on the lip of the door shell. And when I put when we put the skin on the door shell, you'll be able to see that a lot easier. So we welded on a piece that's about 6 inches long. It starts right here, about a ½ an inch in from the end, and it runs just to this point here. So we made a couple of spot welds on this top side, and then we also welded it really nicely along the back edge so that no moisture or anything like that can get in between this little extension piece and the back of our door skin. So now let's take a look at the door shell and a couple of preparations that we're going to do for that before we put the skin on. Alright, now here's our door shell, and I got my son home from college, so he's helping me this weekend.
Hello.
So you can see we've cleaned this thing up all over on the inside. It's been primed and painted, nice semi-gloss black. Nobody's ever going to see it, but it's really nice and clean on the inside. So now the last step that we're going to do is we're going to put some weather stripping on this stiffener bar that runs in between the door skin, because the factory one had some kind of I don't know, some kind of a material on there that kept the door skin probably from rattling against that stiffener, and I don't know what they used. They stapled it on. But we're just going to use this self-adhesive closed cell weather stripping foam. It's like a tape. You just tape it on. One side's got an adhesive on it, and the other side is just smooth. It has a paper on it so the adhesive doesn't stick when it's in a roll. So right now we're going to put that adhesive weather stripping on there, and then we'll be ready to put the skin on the door shell. So let's go ahead and put that thing on. It's a pretty simple process. We're just going to kind of unroll it and it sticks on by itself, and just go to the other end. You can see the original material that they used was stapled on there, and they actually went to the trouble of putting some indentations in that stiffener so that the staples weren't right at the surface of it. So now you can peel this piece of paper tape off of, peel that paper off of there, and there it is. Now this isn't sticky. You touch that, it's smooth, so that's not going to stick to the door skin by itself. And hopefully that does the same thing as what they originally applied in the factory. Okay, so now we're going to hook the door skin on the door shell, and let's turn this over for a second. There's a lip on the top of the door skin, and you actually have to hook that lip over the edge of the door shell. You don't just drop it flat on. So when we put this thing on, we have to actually hook it, kind of lift up on it, and then it drops, and now it's on there. So if we spin it around like this is the bottom edge now, and you can see it's still loose on the bottom, but it's hooked onto the top. So now the task is to hold it down and then hammer over the edge. So we're going to flip it over, I think, so I can actually see what I'm doing, and start hammering this skin over the edge of the door shell. So this is the bottom edge of the door. You can see the skin. It's pre-bent when you buy it. It's not, you know, bent as sharp as the sides are. The sides are at 90 degrees, but the bottom is shallower because I guess it's harder to fit on the door if it's bent more. So your job when you get these is to bend it all the way over onto the flange on the door shell itself. And if you push down a little bit on the door shell, it seats a lot better. So I'm going to have my son push down on this while I'm hammering so that it's in tight contact all the way around. And we're going to go very slowly. You don't want to try and fold this thing all the way over on the first hammer. We're going to go back and forth and just gradually work it over. Otherwise, you're going to wind up with this thing maybe not aligning the way you want it to. So here we go. So now I'm coming up to the edge where we welded on the extension, so I'm going to be a little more careful about where I hit it on here. Okay, so now let's just keep going back and forth. Okay, now this edge is not really on the table. I'm going to put a dolly behind that, kind of back it up. So it's a steel dolly. You want to be careful you don't put a dent in your skin on the front side. So just be gentle with it. But you want to hold it. See if I just push on this a little bit, you can see how it flexes. So I'm just trying to get this in the right position and then hammer it over. There we go. And then when it let's get that back to the table. Okay, the same thing at this other end. You get grab my foot. I'm going to switch hands here. This is more of a right-handed deal. Now at this point, this round body hammer is pretty much used up. I can't get too tight in there. I keep hitting the door shell. That's what that sound is. So now I'm going to switch to a door skin hammer, which is this kind of hammerhead looking thing. One end is straight off. This one's got a little hook on it so that when you get in tight when you're trying to finish off, this hooked end is really convenient because it fits right in flush with the bottom edge of the door, and you can get right on to the lip on the skin and fold it right over. So now we're going to switch over to that hammer and I'm going to go back to the other end. So start off with, let me switch hands. Start off on the corner. And then push it on the table. switch hands. Alright, so now we're getting there. Got some craziness going on at this corner. I might have to cut that later, but I'm not going to try and just pound it down flat right now. I'll wait and then come back and look at it and decide what to do. And now you can see how this hammer really earns its name, because now you can just fold that thing right over with the curve, and I'm not even hitting the door shell. What's that rattling in there? Something rattling. Okay. So now we've pretty much got this folded over. It's not finished, but the great majority of it is done. Now the real job becomes just to flatten it out. And if we tip this up and then lay it down, you come stand over here and sort of get the angle of the sun, you're going to start to see that it's got some little puckers in it. See, like this one right here, a low spot. That's caused by the skin is not, it's because we haven't flattened it out along the whole length yet. You get all these little puckers and indentations. It's like when you fold a piece of paper and you try and crease it and you miss a couple of places, or if you just pinch it here and there, you'll get some folds that are sharp and crisp and other ones that are still rounded over, and it creates those highs and lows. So if you continue to hammer this and get this edge nice and flat like on a regular factory door, then these little puckers will pretty much, they won't completely disappear, but they'll get a lot smaller, and then you can just put a skim coat of filler on it and sand it down and you'll never see them. So we'll come back. I'm just going to keep hammering on this for a while, and when I get it done we'll come back and take a look at the finished product. At this point I'm running short on time for the video, so come back, look for the next part, and I'll pick up right where I left off. There really is not any break in the activity, but I'm just running out of time in this video. So go look for the next part and we'll come right back and I'll show you the bottom edge and we'll work on the sides.